This sign, Matthew, you know this sign.
Yes.
We give this the thumbs up deal, and for those people who are Facebook users, they recognize that right away as well.
Or it can get you a ride too.
Right. Now, right, it depends on where you are.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, today we want to talk just a little bit about encouragement. And we've been talking about that for a long time in the 247 network. The idea that people have gifts and abilities, and we want to encourage them to develop those. And we do that in various formats. Hope Cafe being one, but beyond that. So you preached a sermon here a couple weeks ago about encouragement. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, last time we were together, we were kind of talking about Hope Cafe and where that fell into everything.
Right.
And one of the things that it helps with helps encouraging everybody that's part of a house church ministry. A couple of weeks ago, actually, I don't know if we mentioned this, we counted about 8 house churches represented in our cafe that day. So it was really encouraging to see that that's happening.
Little insert here. We should just stop there to say that Hope Cafe originally is the expression of 2 house churches that you began that have been going for some time. And so to hear that there were 8 represented there, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was very encouraging.
Yeah.
So we find these central times, like, was it Solomon's Porch?
Yeah.
Kind of a Solomon's Porch kind of idea.
Yep.
Of getting all these people to come together, and then there's always a central kind of idea that ends up permeating.
And you were that Sunday. You were speaking specifically on encouragement.
Yeah, because no matter where I go, I'm bumping into this whole idea of moving away from the parental, finger wagging. To the encouraging thumbs up.
Exactly.
And we ended up realizing it was like the nature of Barnabas.
Right.
Where he went around encouraging people.
Whose name means son of encouragement. I think that's what the scripture
well, wouldn't that be convenient?
Yeah.
It's convenient when the words work well with what we're thinking.
Exactly.
And so anyway, this whole, it's almost like it's growing to take a life of its own, this thumbs up thing, because everywhere I go now, after sharing that, now that came out of several conversations.
Right.
We've had breakfast with individuals who said things that triggered with us.
Right.
We've been meeting people. Unfortunately, some of this has been triggered out of lack of encouragement, where we've been meeting people who have been not encouraged and discouraged. And when you're around them, the first thing you want to do is say, "Hey, it's better than you think," and to start and now I'm coming to the point where even my thumb is starting to twitch, where where it's reminding me these situations need to be encouraged, and so it seemed to flow very naturally, and it helped to also gave me an opportunity to kind of do a public apology for any of those who have ever witnessed this part of my finger coming out, and realizing that was an old style that had to kind of die away.
And all of us do that. I catch myself every once in a while, even in helpful suggestions. You should do this, or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
And Bill, of course, who's not here, recuperating from a trip here, has had a lot to say about positive mental health from a secular perspective. So he's big on this idea of encouragement, And there seems to be this dovetailing of his background, where all this have actually come from. And we've had this impression that we need to give that edification or whatever through our house churches in order to encourage people to begin to use their gifts, right?
Yeah, so it's funny what's happened with this is now looking at this, when I even read the scriptures, I'm gravitating towards things and situations that bring up this kind of action.
Right.
And lo and behold, God, had it planned out that it brought me into the fivefold ministry.
Right.
Because the fivefold ministry is all about this.
Now, real quick, for people who aren't familiar with that, Matt, what is that fivefold ministry? Show us that on the.
Well, I stumbled upon this on the internet, and they use the hand as to represent the fivefold ministry. Right. The apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher. Right. And that whole hand. That's, that. So anyway, I'm looking at it, and it happened to be the thumb, happened to be the apostolic, because they seem to be the encouraging, the whole picture encourager, and that's pretty basic. But that's kind of what led me to look at that and realize that if people have a true apostolic gift, we're not talking about self-proclaimed apostles, because I was listening to something the other night where in a certain system, self-proclaimed apostles are little men who end up becoming big, right? And it seemed, using the example of Paul, who was a big man that became little.
Right. So, Matt, then this whole flavor, then I guess today what we would want to say to folks who may listen is just that we want people to understand that we are about encouraging people and activating people in their gifts and strengths. Right. And so the network itself is an effort to try to encourage that to come out of people.
Right. Yeah, it's a decentralization of these gifts. Right. If there's such a thing, I think sometimes I make up words to work,
but I think that does work.
It's like taking it away from a one direction and spreading it out, so that each member of the body is functioning. Excellent. Because he gave gifts, right? It was up to Jesus who he gave gifts to, right? But we've become appointed sometimes, self-appointed, to say, oh, well, those people can be gifted, but those can't.
Excellent. So listen, I know we're aiming at a time frame here. We're pretty much there. So we're going to wrap that up for today and just sort of leave that.
Which is really hard.
Right, which is
hard. Because you just want
to... It's a good thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And a necessary thing to talk about. So we're going to leave that there for now, and we'll have more to say about that. Probably more to say, a little overlap here and there about everything we've covered in the future, right?
It resonates.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's great.
So if we can just leave people with that whole idea, it might seem cheesy.
Right.
But sometimes we need a little cheese.
Exactly.
We've had enough wine.
Right.
We need some cheese.
Exactly. Good stuff. Good stuff.